Okay, so in the last video, we got this up and going where we can now have our individual goals checked. What I want to do is I'm going to write a resolver that's going to check to see if all of our sub goals are checked and then cross out this one. Now, this will be interesting and we can talk a little bit of the implications of this all and what that means for our API and stuff like that, and whether or not this is maybe the best way to handle this or not. And first thing I wanted to actually do is actually give some more visual indicator that one of these individual to-dos is done. So I want to have just a basic strike through. So let's go ahead and head to our code here as we do, and inside of our name like this, well, we can go ahead and actually wrap this in some kind of a span. Span works nicely for what we're trying to do here. Okay, and in this span, we're just going to give this a simple style. And we're going to say style is equal to, and then we're going to have an object, and this is simply going to be text decoration. Sorry, this needs to be a camel cased property, and we're going to have text decoration. Now, text decoration is going to be whether or not this .props.goal is completed. Now, I'm tired of writing this .props.goal, so what I want to come in here and do is actually say const goal is equal to this .props. Okay, now we can get rid of some of this extraneous, this .props whatever. Okay, and now in here I can just do goal.completed. So the value of text decoration is if goal.completed is equal to true, then we're going to set this to line through. Okay, otherwise we're going to set this to none, just like this. So hopefully what's going to happen here is that if our goal is completed, we're going to strike through with our text decoration. Beauty. Okay, nice. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Obviously, like I said, we could get fancy with this and you could do an animated div slashing through these or something. Definitely something a little bit more fancy than a generic line through, but whatever. This, like I said, this is not really the point of this course. Now, what I want to do is next thing I want to do is focus on this main resolution. For instance, if all of our resolutions or all of our goals for an individual resolution are complete, then the main resolution should be noted as complete as well. And then if we add a new goal in there, it will be then set as incomplete, I suppose. I don't think incomplete is a word. So let's talk a little bit about how we can get this done. Really what we want is a property on our schema, which is if this resolution is completed. So let's head to our resolutions schema first and foremost, and we're going to have a new property on here, which is just completed. And this is going to be a Boolean, okay? And that's pretty much all we need to have from our schema. Again, because of this bug in the system here, in our register API file, I'm going to make an addition to this comment. This is the dumbest thing in the world. Hopefully this gets resolved soon. But as you can see here, again, we now have a completed property on our resolution. In our graphical, we can say, hey, give me the resolution name and if it's been completed. And we'll be able to see we have a bunch of big old nulls for completed. Now, at this point, you should maybe have a little bit of an idea how you want to accomplish this. What we can do is come into our code and we want to head to our resolution resolvers. So in our API resolutions, we're going to head to our resolution resolvers. And if you remember, we had a custom resolver for our goals. Now, we obviously don't have a completed property in our database, and I'm not necessarily interested in making one because honestly, this is information that could be stored in the database, but it's going to sort of complicate things. If you think about it, the only thing that's going to make a resolution complete or not complete is whether or not its individual items are completed. And I don't want to necessarily have to worry about updating our parent resolution anytime that sort of individual goal changes, right? That just is going to make all of that stuff way more complicated. So why store this in the database if you can calculate it on the fly a lot easier with less strife here? So let's go ahead and make our custom completed resolver by again heading to our resolvers. Underneath our goals resolver, we're just going to have a completed, which is simply just going to be completed. And then we can have a colon. And then we can have a colon and again have our resolution like this with an arrow. Now inside of here, instead of simply having it just return the results of a find, I'm going to actually set up some brackets. Because in the last one, what we did is we said, hey, find me all of the goals with the resolution ID. And this one, we're going to be doing the same thing. Check it out. We're going to say, hey, give me the resolution ID and find me all of the goals, and then give me an array. At this point, I can say const goals is equal to goals.find, and we're going to again give me all of the goals with the current resolution. Now, we're not going to be returning obviously an array of goals, we're going to be returning a Boolean. And next, we're going to return something. Since we are going to have the items in our array, if they are incomplete, we're going to want to check to see if the goals.length is equal to 0 or not. If the goals.length is equal to 0, then we've completed everything, and that the returning result should be equal to true. Now, goal.length is going to be returning either 0, 1, 2, whatever. So we want to actually have the opposite of whatever this is. If we throw an exclamation point on there, this is going to solve this issue for us. You could actually have this be a more blatant conditional if you want, but if this is equal to 0, as in there's no items that are not completed, then we want this to be equal to true, which is why we have the exclamation point in there. And likewise, if this is equal to 1 or more, we have the exclamation point, and this is going to be equal to false, as in the queries are not completed. Okay, so let's save this. Let's head to our graphical. And you can see here that we have both of the children are equal to true, and therefore the parent is equal to true. And again, here we have true, 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 but then false, and then this one's set to false. So in our interface, we should be able to do the exact same thing that we were doing, and we should be able to now query and ask for the completed on the resolutions on our app.js. If we scroll down here, we're asking for the ID, name, and goals. We're now going to want to ask for completed as well. We can copy this whole little bit from goal where we have our style text decoration thing. And again, inside of the resolution map here, we can have a span. Okay, span. Okay, let's have this style property on the span, style. Now this time instead of goal.completed, we're just going to have resolution.completed. Check it out. This is going to be one of the cooler things about GraphQL here. After this redoes, you can see do handstands is strike through. Now, if we uncheck one of these, the parent is immediately unchecked, just like that. And likewise, if we check this one, it's immediately unchecked. Now, what's cool here is if we're going to add a new one, this is cool, submit. We now have the parent has been unchecked as well. So as you can see here with the resolvers, we have access to do essentially whatever we want. You could come in here, you could make a custom property that is the sky blue, right? And then inside of our resolver, you could always just return true. I mean, that's completely stupid, but you could do it. So in this case, what we simply did is defined a custom resolver. Then we were able to use the information coming out of our database to determine whether or not the value is going to be true. This is just an instance of the database not having to match the API. The API is what information that we want to easily access and what information we want to be available in the application. And the database is what simply needs to be stored, because again, completed does not need to be stored in the database, and it's going to add a lot of complexity if every single time you add a new goal or anything like that you have to come check the parent resolution. Now they're totally unrelated, and we're letting our API do the work of checking all of our goals for us. And again, as you can see, the results are pretty darn slick. So as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, head on over to leveluptutorials.com/pro. Become a pro subscriber. There's a ton of new series available right now for pros only, such as Redux and React for everyone, as well as Level 2 React Native with GraphQL is brand new as of January. And this series is all about GraphQL and React Native. We build a journaling app. It has authentication in it. It has native styles. It's excellent, excellent stuff. And there's even going to be a new Pro series coming in February that I'm really excited about that I will reveal more soon. But hint, 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 it is going to be using GraphQL in some sort of capacity. So as always, this is Scott with Level Up Tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.